Hello again, everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about how we can order and compare integers. So for instance, we'll think about where they belong on the number line and then how they compare to one another. So which number would be considered larger or smaller. So for instance, with number 1, we're given a problem we want to consider. And we're comparing -1 and -5. So let's find those numbers real quick on the number line. -1 is right there, -5 is right here. So notice that -5 is much further to the left than -1 is. That basically means that -5 is smaller than -1. In other words, -1 is greater than -5. So we'll leave that greater than symbol in the box. All right, let's try number 2, -3 and +4. So -3 is right here, +4 is all the way over here. -3 is definitely smaller than +4. And now we're comparing -4 to -5. So -4 is slightly to the right of -5, meaning -4 is slightly larger than -5. And I know that's confusing because normally we compare 4 and 5 and we will say, well, 4 is less than 5. But remember, these two are negative, okay? So when we're dealing with negative numbers, think about this as -5 is more negative than -4, which means that -5 has to be smaller than -4, okay? Think about where it belongs in the number line and therefore how it compares to the other numbers. All right, so now I want you guys to pause the video and try numbers 4, 5, and 6 on your own. All right, so now we're going to try to put some integers in order from least to greatest. And with this problem, it can be a little bit tricky because now we don't have a number line. But remember, if you're struggling with a problem like this and you don't have a number line, you can always create one for yourself. So for instance, with number 7, if I want to make myself a number line, and let's say I want to put 0 right about here, close to the middle. Remember, to the right, I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And counting down on the left side, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So now I can go ahead and plot those numbers. Number 1 is at 4, that's right here. -1 is over here, and -3 is all the way down here. So looking at our numbers, which one's furthest to the left? Well, that's going to be -3, so that is our smallest number. In the middle, we've got -1, and then furthest to the right, the highest number is number 4. All right, so now let's see if we can do number 8 without needing to draw a number line. This one is a little bit easier because it's all positive numbers, and then 0 is neither positive or negative. So that's going to be our first number that we're going to list, 0. And then we know that 3 is less than 10, so that'll be 0, 3, and 10. Number 9 gets a little bit trickier. Again, we've got 3 numbers we need to place in order, but these are all negative numbers. So remember, this is going to be sort of the opposite order than it would be if it were positive, okay? -5 is the most negative number in this list. That means that it has to be the smallest number, okay? In the middle, then, we're going to have -3 because it's not quite as negative as -5, but it is definitely more negative than -2. And then we've got -2 comes in next. Remember, if you're struggling with that, think about this and where it would belong on the number line. If we were to extend this number line that we drew before to include -5, well, then -5 would be plotted right here, -3 is right here, and -2 is right here. So we got -5, -3, and -2. All right, so now what I'd like you guys to do is pause the video again and try numbers 10, 11, and 12 on your own. Okay, these problems, numbers 13 through 15, are basically the same problems as the last ones, but they're reversed. These are now asking us to put them in order from greatest to least. So, if we look at number 13, our largest number is going to be number 10 for sure. 7 would be the next largest, and then -2 is certainly the smallest. Looking at number 14, remember, if you are stuck, again, try a number line, okay? So with a problem like this, we'll just start by putting 0 right in the middle. We can count up from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can go down, -1, -2, -3, etc. So to plot my points, I've got -3 right here, -1's right here, +1 is right here. So the greatest number on here is 1, okay? Notice it's also the only positive number on there, so it's got to be the largest. Next would be -1, and then our most negative number, in other words, our smallest number, is indeed -3. And last but not least, we have -10, -4, and -3. So again, with this problem, we get tripped up because these are all negative numbers. Keep in mind that means that -10 has to be the smallest. Therefore, it's going to be the furthest to the right in our list because that's going to be our last number, or our smallest number. Our largest number here is -3, and then -4 falls right in the middle. You can also think about this as which one is closest to 0, okay? The closest number to 0 in this list here is -3, okay? Notice that's closest to 0. If you were to draw that on the number line, it's closer to 0 than -4 or -10. And the furthest away from 0 would be -10. And since they're all falling negative, that means that -10 would be the smallest number. So again, I want you guys to pause the video and try numbers 16, 17, and 18 on your own. All right, and our last problem that we're going to look at is a different kind of problem. It's a word problem, but really it's just the same type of problem we were dealing with before. They just gave us a real world scenario so we can see what this would look like in real life. So let's start by looking at what they're asking us to do. We're given 3 different states: Arkansas, Kansas, and Louisiana. And they want us to put these in order from the lowest elevation to the highest. So we're going to look at Arkansas and note that it has an elevation of 55 feet above sea level. So that means we're going to want to write it as +55 because it's above sea level. All right, Kansas is 679 feet above sea level. So again, it's positive, and then it's 679. So notice right away that's a much larger number than 55, so it's definitely going to be further to the right than Kansas on our list and on a number line. And then our last state that we're given is Louisiana, which is 8 feet below sea level. That means we're going to be at -8. So given that that's our only negative number, we know right away that needs to be the furthest to the left. It is our lowest elevation. So Louisiana has our lowest elevation. Right in the middle, we have Arkansas at 55 feet. And last is Kansas by a long shot at 679 feet above sea level. All right, so now that you guys have this problem down, I want you to go ahead and try number 20 on your own. And that's all we have for this evening, guys. Thanks for keeping up with me. If you have any questions, make sure that you write them down so that you can ask us in class tomorrow. Have a good night.